Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and we're back again with another Spirit Island video. As you may have noticed, I've not uploaded very much to this channel recently. Aside from the Gleaming Shard stuff, it's been 3 months since I made any Spirit Island content. What gives? Well, believe it or not, being a YouTuber is not my primary job or focus in life. Spirit Island or any kind of board gaming isn't either. These past several months have been very busy for me on a personal level, and I've basically played no Spirit Island in that time. I think I'm a pretty normal guy. I'm sure most of you watching are a lot like me, very busy with other things and can't play as much Spirit Island as we would like. Maybe it's work, school, social outings, sports, or something else entirely. For me, I just graduated, and my big project at work also came to a finish in the same week. So I went from having a ton of stress and distraction to now suddenly having a lot more time on my hands. And now I can get back to playing my favorite game. Believe it or not, Nature Incarnate has been out for over a year. 8 new spirits, 20 new aspects makes it the largest expansion of all. This expansion alone increased the playable spirits by 70%, going from 40 up to 68. Considering the massive volume of content, as well as my personal life distractions, there's actually quite a few of these things that I've barely touched at all. I'm sure I'm pretty rusty with the game overall, and so I want to make my return to the YouTube scene with a video where I'm kind of my own target audience. How to learn a new spirit. I've been thinking about making this video for the past month or so, dangling it like a carrot for motivation to finish my studies. And it was actually after I planned on making this video that Covet's Gleaming Shards of Earth inexplicably fell onto my lap. So that was convenient. If you watch that series, then you'll have a preview into what we're going to talk about today. In case you did not watch the Gleaming Shards video and you don't know what I'm talking about, first of all, how dare you? But Covet Gleaming Shards of Earth is an Apocrypha spirit released last month. An Apocrypha spirit is essentially an unofficial fan-made spirit, except that the fan is Eric Royce, the guy whose name is on the box. Since it's his creation, it immediately gets elevated to a higher tier than any other fan-made content. Ted, the lead developer, sent me a message out of the blue offering the opportunity to reveal this spirit on stream, and that was genuinely the first time I ever saw it when it was being recorded live. So in case you think I'm bullshitting you with the process we're about to go over, there is genuine recorded evidence for how I react to seeing a spirit for the first time ever. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, the spirit that I will be learning today is Relentless Gaze of the Sun. While I have played the spirit before, according to my notes, I have not played him in 10 months. So it's basically the next best thing. So let's talk about the process. Well, obviously, the first thing you have to do is read the spirit panel. It's hard to do much before that. But not everything on the spirit panel is equally important. The first thing that you want to look at on the spirit panel is the special rule. The special rule is what makes the spirit truly unique and interesting and different from every other spirit in the game. It's what a lot of the theme and the strength and the uniqueness is tied up in. For brevity's sake, I'm not going to read through everything on the spirit panel. You can pause the video and read it for yourself if necessary. But then from there, I like to work my way from top to bottom along this right side section. So starting with the growths, then looking at the presence tracks, and then going to the innate powers. Most growth options across all spirits in the game are pretty similar. So I'm really not focused on analyzing the growth options, but really just looking for anything weird and unusual. As we take a look with Relentless Gaze, there are some interesting things, but when you think about it, it's not too different. We always add a presence, that's normal. Gain a card, that's normal. This one says gain an energy an additional time, and that seems a little bit different, but if you think about it, every spirit has some kind of way of gaining raw bulk energy. Some spirits gain only 1 bonus energy, and some gain a lot more than that. And this scales, but as a conceptual thing, it is the same as what we've seen on other spirits. Additionally, this has presence movement. This one moves 3, but we've seen that with other spirits before. The thing that's truly unique about these growth options is right here on the reclaim, adding 3 destroyed presence together. I don't think there's any other growth option in the game. Actually, there's Wounded Waters, who gets to add destroyed presence as a part of growth. So this is something that's truly new and unique. There are 3 common growth patterns that spirits will have across their growth options. The most common ones are going to be 0-1-1, 0-2-1, and 1-1-1. So if we take a look here at Shadows, River, and Vital, we take a look at Shadows, Growth 1 adds 0 presence, Growth 2 adds 1 presence, and Growth 3 adds 1 presence. With River, your Reclaim adds nothing, your Growth 2 adds 2 presence, and your Growth 3 adds 1 presence. And with Vital Strength, Reclaim adds 1, Growth 2 adds 1, and Growth 3 adds 1. So these are the 3 most common growth patterns across spirits in the game. And as we just saw in Relentless Gaze, since we have 3 different growth options, each one though is obligated to be tied to also adding a presence. So Relentless Gaze would be a 1-1-1 spirit. So then going to the presence tracks, we're once again not expecting to see anything too crazy here. We're just looking for anything weird and interesting. We generally expect a linear growth in numbers on both energy and card plays, and the gaps are usually filled in by elements. So things to pay attention to is any dramatic jumps in value or any dead spaces. So taking a look at these basic spirits, we can see that Shadows actually has both. We can see right here that going from 1 to 3 is a big jump. Every other step is an increase of 1 energy a turn, but this is an increase of 2. And then on the contrary, every step on the card plays increases by 1, except right here, going from 3 to 3, so it's an increase of 0. That's just 2 notable things that we want to be aware of up front, that when we get into the game, we're not caught off guard. The other thing to look for on the tracks is anything unique or special, such as a Reclaim 1, which we can see here on River's bottom track. So, coming back down to our spirit, we can see that we have a pretty linear growth, 1, 2, 3, element, 4, 5. And then with the card plays, it is every other presence will give us a card play. So we have a completely dead space to start, giving us nothing here. And then we gain a card play. We gain an element and then a card play. A Reclaim 1, which is really nice. And then another card play. So the rate of growth is going to be half speed going across bottom track than it is across top track. That's not necessarily better or worse, but it's just different. And, those kinds of differences we just want to be aware of so that we're not shocked or surprised when it comes up later in the game. And then last, we want to look at our innate powers. Very often, the innate power will be closely tied to the special rule, so we want to make sure that we understand what it does and how it works. What I'm explicitly not doing is any kind of analysis. I'm not trying to make plans, I'm not trying to make strategies, and I'm not deciding if it's good or not to pursue any of these options. I just want to come to an understanding of what it does so I can start my first game as quickly as possible while playing the rules correctly. After we have finished reading the spirit panel, we need to go to our last unique component, our starting hand. Once again, we just want to read through them. We want to understand what they do. We don't want to focus too hard on any kind of strategies or analysis. We're not going to be really looking at elemental combinations and trying to figure out openings or nothing like that. I cannot stress enough, don't stress, don't worry about it. For your first game, just get a basic understanding of what the cards do, clear up any rules questions you may or may not have, and then just get into the game. Playing Spirit Island is fun, and so we want to just do the fun thing. Just play the game. Don't go doing all this analysis and delay and stalling out, because once you get into the game, you're going to realize that you made some kind of error in some capacity. You probably didn't anticipate something, and Now, had you spent all of this time focused on trying to come up with this perfect analysis and it gets broken on turn 1, turn 2, and you realize you would have been better off just playing the game anyways. As we're going to talk about it in a second, when we get into our second and into our third game, that's where we're going to be doing our analysis and our thinking once we have a baseline of a real game being played on which to create a benchmark for our thinking. So after reading our components, we're good to go. The last decision is what adversary we're going to play against. I trust we all have a sense as to what level we're comfortable at. So for your first game, you want to take that level you're comfortable with and reduce it by 1 or 2 tiers. Since I typically play against level 6 adversaries, I would want to have my first game at level 4 or 5. In addition, I think it's best to steer clear of the particularly complex adversaries such as France, Russia, and both of the Habsburgs. I find that these adversaries apply a lot of pressure in ways that might force you to change from your normal game plan, so when you play against them, it might not be well representative of what the spirit can is intended to do. I think the very best adversaries to go up against would actually be Scotland and Prussia. Prussia is the generic adversary. It's no special rules, it simply has a modified invader deck. And Scotland is also pretty simple and straightforward. If you control the coast, you win the game. And to be frank, controlling the coast is something that you should aspire to do anyways, so it really doesn't change your strategy all that much. Now, I've already played in this very first game, and you can see that video that I've linked in the description, and that was from a year ago when the NI was originally released. In your very first game, you are likely to trend toward your personal bias, building primarily across the top or the bottom track. I generally prefer pushing bottom track as aggressively as possible, and in that first game from a year ago, I had made it all the way to that reclaim 1 spot, which as we can see is almost completely clearing the bottom track. So going into your second game, you're going to take the opposite approach. The point here is not necessarily to play optimally, but to explore and to learn. If we don't force ourselves outside of our comfort zone, then we'll never reach our full potential. So going into the second game, I'm going to focus on going across this top track. Realistically, we're going to want to pick up this second card play. No matter what major we pick up, we're going to want to have a second card in order to help hit that threshold. But we are going to have a bias towards top track whenever we have the choice. So with that being said, we're going to be playing against Scotland 5. Oh man, we got board D. So normally I don't like to play board D against Scotland because it's especially swingy with the double wetlands. In case you don't know how to ban a board on TTS, which is what I normally do when I'm intending against playing in Scotland, right up here in the corner, there's all these different bags. And this one here is the balanced boards bag. So we can right click on it and do search, and you can see all the boards in the game. You would just select the board that you want to ban and then pull it out of the bag by clicking and dragging, and then you could just delete it. The way that this mod works is when the game starts, it takes a look at everything that's in the bag and pulls a random one from that group. So if we remove the board that we don't like and then we delete it, there is no board there to pull from this bag. Now, on the other hand, if you wanted to force a specific board, you would just grab the board out and then make sure it's anywhere in this blue region, and then that will be the board that you play on. But anyways, we're here not trying to win or to optimize or anything like that. We're really just trying to figure out if it's good or not. And you could even make an argument that the wetlands on the coast with Scotland could be a good thing, because now like the majors that we're going to be throwing down, well, we're really going to need some majors, and it could play into our advantage. But who knows? Let's see how it goes. All right, we start in the low-numbered sands. I can imagine that if we wanted to pick a strong board for Scotland, they're always strongest on their board, on their land number 2. So any board that has a sands on land number 2, I would assume would be just better for us in this matchup, since we start with the free Badlands there. I know our presence is pretty mobile, but having the free Badlands there could make the difference. We'd have to math that out later. But anyways, we start with a Jungles Explore. Now we do have to consider the threat of getting the wetlands on turn 2 with our next Explore. If that happens, we probably just lose, because this only skips a Ravage action. It's not until we get thresholded that we could skip a build action. And the only thing that we have in our kit in order to deal with that would be an Unbearable Gaze. So we could play this card, and if we explore here in the wetlands, we can push the town out. And if we explore the sands or the mountains, we could push this town out in order to deny a blight. I think either way, I'm likely to play this Blinding Glare and skip this Ravage from happening, so that way we don't take the double blight situation. So with that being said, let's just gain a minor. Maybe we pull something even cooler. Entrancing Apparitions is less effective against Scotland because all of this is not going to get Explorers for the rest of the game. So it's not going to be that. A little bit of blight removal. One thing that I do remember is that he does create his own blight with this right here. So having some built-in blight removal would be very nice. Renewing Boon removes a blight and then also restores a presence. But since we're going top track, we're not going to be so concerned about the energy cost. And this also can gather in an adjacent blight, gives us more flexibility. So let's take this. And we're going to play our Unbearable Gaze right here. Okay, fast powers, we have none. Event. We skip Ethereal Conjunction. Build in the jungles, hoping to dodge the wetlands. Never lucky. Good thing we planned for it, so we had this Unbearable Gaze. We get 1 fear, and we can push this town. Okay. And actually... Ooh, we get 1 damage. So if we were to push this town right here, we could then target this land, do 1 damage, plus the Badlands gives us a free town kill. We'll take it. Okay, now we got this Blinding Glare that we're going to be playing. We'll go here, and I wonder if this... I mean, this Absorb Crushers aren't like do anything. It might be worth just pulling a major right now. Forgetting this Absorb Corruption. And then that will give us a sense of direction for how we want to play our next turn after this. Okay, we have some interesting ones. Manifest Incarnation is very exciting. We're going to be able to play it as early as next turn, right? We can double our energy growth and play Manifest Incarnation. That would be cool. In fact, we haven't gained energy for the turn. We could also do the same thing with Draw towards a Consuming Void, which is fascinating. That would be a fascinating play. And I mean, that's kind of the whole point of going for a top track, is that you could just play something really big and explosive right out the gate. And let's see, we'd have plenty of stuff here to kill. 7, 5, and 2 for 14 HP across the coast. So that 15 damage will full clear the coast. Yeah, let's just do it. Just go for it. Let's try new things. Okay, we'll do this, and we will skip a Ravage action in land number 2. And let's see, if we do Draw towards a Consuming Void and we double it, I'm probably going to grow here next turn. So that way we could start to... Oh yeah, we have to forget this. So that way we could play both of these cards. or some combination thereof. We get, or I mean, maybe I'll pull a major. Anyways, 7 will go up to 10 energy, and it costs us 1 energy per previous use. So we're gonna do paying 1 energy, and we're gonna repeat it for 2 fear, just so that way we can get ourselves a fear card. Event. 2 explorers, none. Push a beast to an adjacent land with no blight and deal a damage. Sad. Okay, we'll go right here, and then defend 1 per Dahan has no effect. Moves an explorer from a land with beast, disease, or 2 Dahan. Oh, or a town. No. Sorry, that's terror level 2. Just an explorer from beast, disease, 2 Dahan. We have no qualifying lands. Okay, we'll ravage. We'll build. And explore the mountains. Escalating. Let's just escalate into the land where we have a Badlands. Because then we have this, we get 1 damage with our Badlands, will give us a kill. Okay. Now we're going to double our energy and move 3 presents together. So if we go like this, gain extra energy. We could add our presence here and then jump our presence. How far can we jump it? 3 spaces. Yeah, so we'll jump it up here. Or we could even go all the way out to land number 8. We'll do that. So that's that way we don't get sucked in by draw towards a consuming void. An interesting thing to consider is that if we went for here instead, we would get the extra damage. So our 15 damage, we're looking at 6, 9, 11, 13, plus the town here makes 15, so we don't need the 1 extra damage. We'd be left with a single explorer in this land. There is also whatever does explore. And we don't grab the bad land, so it would be 16. I think we're fine. I think we're fine as is. The land with the most towns replace 2 towns with 2 cities. We could replace this and instantly lose. That would be super sweet. Go here. Push up to 2 explorers or a town from a land with beast. Unfortunate. Dahan defends for 2. That'll actually give us a little bit of a counterattack, so that's nice. So we're going to go here, flipping the blight card. Okay, we have to sacrifice presence every turn, but thankfully we have the ability to bring it back on reclaim, so I feel like we're not going to be threatened by this. Over here it's defended for 2, so it's going to do 3 damage, adding some blight, and then it counterattacks and kills this town. Then we're going to build in the mountains and explore the jungles. And it doesn't really matter whether we go here or here. It's all going to get sucked in by consuming void anyways. Okay. Draw towards a consuming void. Let's have some fun. Explore, town, city, Dahan, beast, and presence from every adjacent land. Okay, and then we get 4 fear, 15 damage, 5 to Dahan. So that damage Dahan is unfortunate, causes a break point. And then we destroy 1 presence, destroy 2 beasts, and then we also get to deal that 15 damage. So presence, beast, 15 damage. Let's see, that's 9. Because we're about to build, we want to think about this. So we could do that, which is 15 damage, I think is fine. That's going to build a city. We could do something like this, and then it builds a town, and we wind up in the same exact situation with one less explorer, but we also produce one less fear. So that's two fear cards plus one fear. And if we do this, then we wind up with 2 fear cards full. 2 fear cards plus 1 fear would put us only 1 fear away from flipping terror level 2. And if we... None of these produce fear. This does, and that produces 2 fear. So it would give us a fear card either way. Let's go with this. So we'll do that. Okay, time passes. So I'm thinking we can reclaim, skip this Ravage, produce that 2 fear, and then that will allow us to bring this presence back. We can grow in there to have 2 stacks of 3. Maybe combine it with one of these damage cards. Let's do that. So we'll reclaim. We'll add our presence. Bring back our destroyed presence. Gaining energy. Going for blinding glare. And... one damage. That's the repeats, where it's going to cost us 1 energy. I think we can do this. Okay, so we'll play Blinding Glare to skip the Ravage. We'll repeat find Blinding Glare. Oh my gosh. Producing 2 fear. Sacrifice a presence for the turn. Event. Plus 1 damage. Okay, that's fine. There are no beasts. Added a Dahan to a land with Dahan and no blight or disease. 4 fear cards. Isolate a land. Skip all build actions. Ooh. Okay. So is it better to skip this build action or this build action? If we skip the coastal one, we do have access to damage and adding a blight. Which, Scotland... It's a Ravage action that adds a blight. Yeah, so we could skip this one, blight it, and then... then we'd be down to 1 blight, but... Then also it can't explore, which insulates us on this next turn. Okay, choose a living 1 damage per Dahan. Nice! Gather 3 from a single land into a land with 2 or more invaders. Oh no! No qualifying lands. Explore does not affect the coast. Alright. So, skip the Ravage. Skip this build. We get this one here. And Explore does not affect the coast. So it would be a great time to get a Wetlands. Oh, jungle and wetlands for the double value. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm thinking we can do this, which will do 4 damage and adds a blight. Okay, so we're going to add that blight, but before we do that, we need to have the triple presence to use this twice. So we're going to add a Badlands, and then we're going to do a damage killing a town. And then we get to add this blight, destroying this presence. Time passes. Okay, so none of these are going to build. So as long as we just don't die right here, we're okay. So I think we actually just have to reclaim again. So we'll add our presence first, because it's only range 1 to bring your presence back. So we'll add a presence first, and then when we reclaim, we get to bring our destroyed presence here. And we'll play this Blinding Glare again. But now we can play, let's see, we know it's either going to be sands or wetlands. So I think we play Unbearable Gaze to deny whatever gets explored. Okay, fast phase. We'll go here, skipping the Ravage. And we don't get a fear card by repeating this, whereas we can repeat this, Unbearable Gaze, for value. So I think we will... Well, not really any value, right? Because you have to target the same exact land twice. So we don't really get anything from that. Yeah, we'll just pay an energy for 2 fear. Sacrifice a presence. Event. Stage 2, we get +1 damage, but we're skipped. Jungle or wetlands with the most buildings. Remove a blight from a land with 2 Dahan. Man, if we didn't get rid of that blight removal card. Let's see. We get to add a strife. That's nice. And then we gain an energy. Skip the Ravage. All of this doesn't build. Then we explore. Oh, yeah, it's the coast. Duh. Duh. Well, Unbearable Gaze suddenly became amazing, because now what we can do is something akin to this. And then we can use this Unbearable Gaze to produce a fear. And then we get to, among the origin and the target, we get to push 1 from each. We could do it this way, or we could do it like that. I think that's just a little bit better. So yeah, it's going to be sands or wetlands next. Now it's going to be sands or wetlands next. Yeah, I like this a lot better. It's easier to access land number 1. Now, we can use this and act as if we have less elements than we actually do. So I'm going to do that just to do the 1 damage version. I could move my presence in and kill a town for 1 fear. Yeah, because that's not... These lands aren't going to build again because there's adjacency to city requirement. So yeah, I think we can get away with it. Come in here and we'll kill that. Time passes. Now what I'm concerned about is we're just getting ourselves stuck into like this reclaim loop. Just reclaim, 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 skip, reclaim, skip, reclaim, skip. And if this comes up as wetlands again, we have no chance of getting out of that. And I don't like that. This draw toward the consuming void might have been a mistake. But it's also kind of just a 4D Scotland situation, right? We got the absolute worst time to get wetlands. Do we gamble on a major here? We're trying to deal with 3 explorers. It is all that it comes down to. The tiniest of defenses. So many things can make it go our way. I think I am going to go for a major. And none of these are going to do it. This Ravaged Undergrowth, I don't hate. None of these are sun cards, so we're not going to be able to threshold anything. Because, yeah, we're sitting on 2 suns and a fire. But Ravage Undergrowth removes a blight. And that's good enough for me. Gosh. Well, see, now I'm just full of regret. But I guess that's the choices that we made. Okay, we got nothing in the fast. Oh wait, we got all of this actually. Powers don't damage or destroy Dahan. And we get to add a destroyed presence back. Hey! We'll bring destroyed presence back and then we'll immediately sacrifice it for the Blight card. Or no, we don't have to, because it's 4 more energy. I think we've been sacrificing presence we didn't have to sacrifice. Oops. Stage 2. In the land with the most invaders, push an explorer or town to each adjacent land. All planned, baby. Come on. It's a game of skill. Each beast generates a fear. We don't have any beasts. Push 2 Dahan from Blight to without Blight. Nope, we have the opposite situation. And push 3 from a land not matching a build card. So we can't push on the coast, but we can push everything else. We'll just do that. Actually, we know there's a 50% chance of that happening, so we're actually going to go the opposite direction. We're going to go into the mountains. Okay, Ravage. Build. Not wetlands. Damn it. Oh, never lucky. Okay. Sure. What do we get? Remove a blight and fear and 3 damage. So that would just clean solve this. But this, actually we could... No, this is better. So we're going to use this, because we have 2 energy left over. So we can add a Badlands, and then pay 2 energy to repeat it, to deal 1 damage. Kill that. Then over here, we can turn that into a Wilds. 1 fear, 3 damage. And then we can push that Wilds to take care of that. Okay. Okay. I was never scared. Right? You were never scared either. Do we do it again? I think not. that was enough riding the lightning for me, for one. So that was our 1 freebie for the game. So we'll reclaim, add a presence. Oh, if we do that, then we don't get to... We aren't going to be able to target with our range 0 ability. So where were we? We were here. I just realized we had the any last turn. We could have thrown the moon out there. Yeah, wait. How did we have that last turn? We were here and here. If we had given ourselves the any on the moon, that would have also given ourselves this, which would allow ourselves to deal with that in the slow. Do we retroactively go back and say that we were smart enough to figure that out ourselves? For the purpose of learning, I'm fine with it. Right? I mean, you could also take the L and remember it for next time and let the the pain and suffering and the misery of that moment compel you to be smarter in the future. But I'm not smart for that, so we're going to do that. Okay? You didn't see anything. It was all in your imagination. So with that being said, now going into turn 7, we pick up a major, guilt-free. And we're going up to 5 energy. Land Thrashes and Furious Pain looks really good with all of that blight on the board. We're not going to be able to threshold it. We could threshold Fire and Flood, but we also can't play Fire and Flood, so that's not going to get us too far. We will be able to threshold this Voice of Command, but the port lands are not ravaging. We would be able to use it to gather in 2 towns and kill 2 towns. That kills 2 towns. This is going to deal 1, 2, 3, 4 damage on that. It's also a moon. By getting the moon, since we're very smart and we're learning here, this learning and exploring process, by getting that moon, we will be able to prevent ourselves from adding blight to the board. So we can definitely do that. We will forget... we'll forget this. I get the sense that we're going to want this Unbearable Gaze to try and bring everything into 1 land. And we will... I don't think it really matters where we... Well, we'll add it here, so we have to sacrifice 1 for the turn, since it's a 4-cost card that we have in play. Fast Phase. We have nothing besides this. Do we want to give ourselves another element? We do not. The element we would give ourselves is going to be a sun for that 3 fear. We have to sacrifice a presence. This one has our worst targeting. Oh, maybe I should have added my presence here. I don't remember where I added it for the turn, so we'll just keep that in mind, that we could have added a presence here and bring that in. Event. Add a blight to a land adjacent to a land with blight, or sacrifice 2 presence. Coastal land to Han. We get to add a free beast. Free beast will go up here, but the sacrifice 2 presence. Do we see ourselves repeating anything? Range 2. Everything is range 2 from that jungles, so we can sacrifice here and here. 1 card. Removes an Explorer town from land with 2 or fewer invaders. Okay, coast. Wetlands. Exploring the Sands Mountains. By removing that town, that denies the Explorer. Okay. Three. Okay, so I think what we do, we're going to target this land, and we're going to deal 1 damage, move 3 presence into that land, bringing with it 1 Badlands. We'll pay an energy to repeat it, so that 1 damage becomes 2 damage, and we kill this town. Land Thrashes in Furious Pain. Give me 2, 3, 4 damage. And then down here, we don't need to add a blight. Oh, we have to sacrifice a presence. Oh my god. Failing all over. Would that have changed anything out here? This game is turning into a disaster from a rules perspective. But we could use this right here to destroy this, 3 fear, sacrifice a presence, and then we win. So that was not following all of the rules of the game. I will be the first to admit it right now. That being said, I think it was an interesting game for just kind of getting more reps and more data with this spirit. I think the most interesting thing to me was the fact that we were legitimately able to play a turn 3 drawn to a consuming void, which is something that I don't know if any other spirit in the game can do that. That was very exciting. and not being punished by destroying our own presence and so on and so forth because of that. That was a very, I think that was a useful exercise to go through. So that's all we're going to do today. We're still at the beginning stages of getting to understand this spirit, and I will be sure to do more future installments, probably not in a big series, but kind of peppered throughout everything else that I'm doing, as I take the time to learn the spirit, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and go from there. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a glorious day.